This is the 100X podcast, and we've got Simon himself, founder and CEO of Goat Gaming. Man, we're excited because we've been talking a lot about the narrative crossover between gaming and AI and how ridiculously interesting it is right now. That it's something that as an investor, I'm really intrigued by. It's something that as a gamer, I'm really intrigued by. And so anytime we can run into anyone furthering that, making that bigger and more awesome, I get excited. So really excited for this conversation. Simon, why don't you introduce Goat Gaming and what you guys are building?
Yeah, right. Thanks for having me. So a bit about Goat Gaming. Goat Gaming is an ecosystem of games where players can compete and win prizes. And so it's very cool. So the genesis of Goat actually came about last year. We had another Web3 game live called Mighty Action Heroes, and we added a game mode to that, which is PvP. So you pay an entry fee, I pay an entry fee, we compete, and then the winner actually gets to keep the money. And that mode just completely blew up. And I was like, wow, okay. So this is what product market fit looks like in Web3. Like people want to compete for a chance to win money, basically. So Go Gaming is an ecosystem of mini games on Telegram today. And they're all linked by the fact that you can compete and through your own skill kind of win money off other players or win prizes or into raffles, whatever. This ecosystem has taken a big step forward in the last, so it's my cat's just smashing
all
the house
good.
up.
They're exploring.
The ecosystem has taken a big step forward in the last, I want to say, few months, because last year, one of the things we were also doing, actually, we started investing heavily in like AI in 2022, 2023. So the vision for Mighty Action Heroes was to have 25 million unique heroes. So we started investing in what was then called procedurally generated content, which basically is generative AI. And then last year, we basically had a small strike team doing R&D experiments with this stuff. And we were at a point where we were releasing one map in Fortnite UEFN a week. So we were on track to do like 50 odd in 1 year. Normally these take months. And so we started applying that to Goat. So Goat today has like 8 games now live. And we can build these games in like 3-4 weeks. So a lot of teams in Web3 talk about years to build games. Like we're shipping games a week now. And so now we've decided to take that tech that we've been building out and put it in the hands of players. And so we just announced AlphaGoats. And so now people are going to start competing with their AI agents also to win money in the ecosystem very soon.
Before we dig into everything this episode has to offer, we want to highlight the awesome partners who sponsor this podcast and make it possible for us to work full-time on 100X. They're legends, and we appreciate them for supporting us. What if I told you that Magic the Gathering's founder, Richard Garfield, and veteran game designer, Justin Gary, teamed up to create a TCG where every deck can be an NFT? I'd say crypto gaming is going to make it. That game is here, and it's called SoulForge Fusion, and I am addicted with over 50 hours logged so far. You collect half decks and fuse them together to create one-of-one decks and battle your friends, play solo campaigns, and craft the lore of the endgame universe. It's free to play on Steam right now, and there's a huge airdrop that you might already be eligible for. Check the links below to get started. Let me tell you about our friends at games.gg. And when I say friends, I really do mean that they are friends of 100X. Their CEO, Omar, was one of my first introductions to Web3 gaming, and we're OG holders of their Gamers Lobby collection. We love these guys. They're essentially the super app of Web3 gaming. One of the cool things they've cooked up is a gaming quest system. You complete free quests for cool games, anything from retweeting a post to beating a mission in a new game, and then you get rewards, tokens, skins, whitelist access, all kinds of things. Go explore everything awesome they've crafted just for you at games.gg right now. Epic, man. I love it. This idea of the things that you were already doing a year ago were so many steps ahead. And now you're finding out, hey, the meta's shifting, the tech is advancing. I think anyone that has explored AI over the last 2 years, it's crazy, dude, how fast things are developing. The like procedural generated content being the grandfather to AI and the current AI systems. If you looked at like, if you're just like loosely using AI and you were messing around with Midjourney a year ago to right now, it's crazy how different it is. And you guys, it sounds like are in the same boat. You mentioned before we get into the AI, which is the stuff I'm really interested in, I do want to like get the full picture of Goat Gaming itself. And so you guys right now, it's mostly mobile games. I guess I've played it on my computer because it's Telegram, but it's probably most of your users are playing mobily. They're playing games to win prizes. Played a handful of the games. I think Waifu Clash is probably the most addicting one that I've played. That's a fun little card game. What kind of So in that one specifically, it's like 1v1 dueling. When you
Yeah.
mentioned the structure of like, hey, play games, win prizes, what types of prizes are people winning?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The Waifu Clash actually came out of Fortnite. So we had a
Oh, nice.
game on Fortnite called Waifu Tycoon, which was a global top 20 game on Fortnite where you had to like befriend a bunch of waifus so they'd go for a picnic with you.
For all
We're
the
doing a lot of
anime bros out
yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. It's completely blew up last March, but yeah. So we took that and we were like, oh, how do we make a fun like 5 minute trading card game? Sorry, PvP card game. But yeah, today players are competing to win crowns, which is an ecosystem currency that's redeemable for USDT. So
Cool.
essentially, it's like a cash equivalent. And then some of the games are single player and they're leaderboard based. And then depending where you place, you get prizes. And look, if you're not very successful, you still get raffle tickets. You can use them to enter raffles to win prizes.
Nice. Epic, man. I mean, it's essentially an evolution of the play to earn meta. And you're just saying, hey, instead of in 2021, you could play one or two games in their own world and try to earn stuff. Instead, come over here and play right now. I think you said like around 10 games, but the goal is just limitless number of games and an ecosystem where you're winning prizes that translate directly to USDT. Sweet. I love it. Let's get into the way that you guys are specifically tied to AI. How does AI come into the ecosystem? You mentioned that years ago, you guys were already working on and investing in AI. And obviously it's come really far since then. And so I'm curious, like what that overall vision of like, hey, how have we always envisioned AI belonging in goat gaming versus how it exists right now and where it's going to exist in the coming future?
Yeah, I mean, look, from our perspective, we've always seen AI and agents, I think really from like 2 years out, as a way of really empowering people to create and have novel experiences. And so I think the thing that would be the most interesting is using AI almost as like an interface for UGC and user generated content. So if you can interact with your agent to then create a novel experience that other players can play, that's a really massive unlock, especially in an ecosystem with loads of games. And then also like, financializing that as well. So why shouldn't my agent create content that other players can play for a chance to say win money, for example, right? But then I'm
Yep.
determining the odds. So almost like I'm my own little casino. And then the other things we're thinking about doing, and actually we've already shared some details around this, is we're building out an ecosystem of games built specifically for AIs, where your AI can compete with other people's AIs and we'll have prizes, we'll have leaderboards. And at the very top tier, we'll have things like live streamed events where you'll see these AIs go head to head. And then players will be able to place like side bets on the one that they think will win. And as an owner of one of the agents, you'd also get a share of that kind of bet revenue, or prediction market revenue.
Nice. It's like AI Arena, but instead of just the one like Super Smash style game, your
Yeah.
AI are actually battling in a plethora of mini games.
Yeah. And I think for us, like we have the ecosystem of financially motivated games, right? And so having that framework around wagering and prediction markets is kind of already built out as well. We are we are also about to announce something else very soon. And so we're thinking of ways where AI agents versus humans could also make sense and do that in a way which is kind of thoughtful.
It's straight up Terminator at this point, but with mobile games.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
I love it.
They're coming for us. So yeah, this is one of the things we think about a lot. It's like, look, we have this tool set now. Like, how can we do it in ways which are novel and interesting?
I do want to ask you a question. So, with Alpha Goats and how you guys are bringing AI agents into you guys' ecosystem, how, for anyone listening who's maybe interacted with things like Virtual's platform on Base or Eliza on Soul or anything similar to it, how does this differ from those platforms and how are you guys evolving on the idea of an AI agent?
Yeah, I mean, look, like Eliza framework is a good technology framework. Like we use parts of it in our stack as well. So that's more developer facing. I think for us, it's one thing where you can just click, you can spin up an AI agent, you can go, you have something ready in like 1 minute running on Telegram. Anyone can get started. And these are more, I would say, specialized. So like a lot of these generalized AI agents, they do a number of things quite well. And they have little social media presence and you can set them to do trading or whatever. But like these are highly specialized basically as wealth creation engines for players. So they can run off and they can play 24/7 and then users can have a chance to win money. And we build out a bunch of experiences specifically for them. So I'd say it's more self-contained. I think eventually the vision is to have them also running in other people's ecosystems, but that obviously won't come on day one. That's something we're going to have to really think about and do in a way which is thoughtful. I love the idea of the AlphaGoats also kind of playing in broader ecosystems and like in other play-to-earn games, stuff like that.
And when you bring up these AlphaGoats and how you can customize them, how does that actually look? So if I'm buying an AlphaGoat and I'm making my own AI agent and Matthew's doing it himself, and they're both going to be playing in games where it's PvP and someone's going to have to win, but we come from the same AlphaGoats ecosystem and we're both agents coming from the Goats framework. How does mine differ from his? What customizations will give mine an edge over Matthew's or his over
rather
mine?
than just being a 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the agents are trainable with one click, basically. So we have a bunch of presets. You can decide you want them to specialize in. They have almost like an RPG character sheet, and so you choose the kind of behaviors you want them to specialize in, or using prompts, you can actually refine that behavior. And then eventually, the plan is to say, "Hey, look, like you've done this, this, and this in these games. Going forward, I want you to actually adjust your strategy to be more like this." And so over time, you'll be able to kind of adjust how they behave. Visually, also, they're fully customizable. So we've teased actually the art. So if you go on alphagoats.ai, you can see what they look like. And we're doing a full character creator that we're launching soon. And then that avatar of yourself will also be representative kind of online as well. You'll be able to, use in different social media channels.
Nice. That's sick. What about, on this, that gets me really excited. The RPG-esque, it's like playing a game that's not, obviously the games are the games themselves, but to me, this is almost like a meta game on top of it where I'm designing the best agent to go do cool things for me. What things can that agent, at least as far as, I buy an AlphaGoat. What things can that AlphaGoat do out the gate without being trained? So like, could I deploy it to play some of the games on there? Can it make money for me? Where do I as far as like it being trained, when can it start creating stuff for me? You mentioned like user generated content. How hard is it to get it to make stuff for me? Things like that.
So, straight out the box, you can one click deploy, and then you can have it just start passively playing other games and trying to like learn and optimize itself. So we know that there is more than one persona in this space, right? So there'll be people that'll be super engaged with AI agents who will always be trying to figure out the meta, trying to figure out ways to optimize revenue or engagement. And we'll be like refining them constantly. And look, if you're one of those players, you're probably going to have better results than someone that automates it. But it is completely valid to automate it. We know that, people in this space are busy. And no one has like 3-4 hours a day to be looking at logs and seeing how they can optimize their AI agents. So I think that's going to play a big part as well. In terms of like content creation, I think you'll probably want to spend some time with your agent to refine the kind of content it creates, because else it just won't be very interesting, right? You just spin it up and be like, okay, start, I don't know, tweeting about games, and you don't give it any prompts. Like it's going to be like, there's a lot of criticism, right, of AI bots on social media today, and I think that definitely, if you're not thoughtful about it, it will just be kind of generic. And so we're trying to avoid that as well, as much as possible.
So it's like replicating myself. I think about like what Meta did, and then they canned it really fast because of some pushback. I think people weren't ready for it, but they're like the way that they were launching, you can duplicate yourself and talk to it on Facebook or something. I know they did that with a bunch of celebrities, but it's that concept almost for me that is fascinating, that, hey, I am the persona that you just mentioned. I do not have 3 to 4 hours a day to devote to anything. I'm a busy man. I got work. I got kids. I got family. I got a lot that I want to do. So I can't do that. And that means that I inherently miss really cool opportunities. Sometimes I get FOMO in this space where I see, if you're like over the age of like 21, I feel like you're missing out on so much in this space because you have other responsibilities in life besides being able to grind all day. And I see some of these young bucks just killing it. And I'm like, dude, I got to log off at 5 o'clock to go take care of my kids or something. And so this can be a potential solution to that FOMO that I experience of, cool, well, if I can just train this AlphaGoat, this AI agent, to do everything that I can't do when I log off, now I'm no longer missing out. That's really interesting. Do you see a world where like, obviously that's only going to last for a little bit before everyone catches on to that. And now those 21-year-olds that I'm saying, oh, they've got more time than me. Well, now they've got their time plus their three AI agents working for them. Is that the meta game? Just build the best AI agent. Could I buy really good AI agents from other people? Like, can I buy Caesar's AlphaGoat if he trains it really well? And I realize, ooh, that one's doing better than mine. And then those become tradable in themselves.
That's exactly right. So they actually will be tradable. So the initial batch of AlphaGoats have a token attached to them. So we also give a small token allocation with each one. And when that token is finished vesting, then players will be able to trade them. So the elite level ones will be tradable. Also, you can upgrade yours. So if you have multiple, you can merge them basically to create more powerful variants. Like an AI agent kind of Voltron, stacking them together. But yeah, so that's one thing we're thinking about very deeply as well, is like how to make it interesting and how to give people that have less time a chance as well. It's the same as mobile free-to-play gaming, right? In mobile free-to-play, you have this distinction between people that are time-rich and time-rich and cash poor versus people that are cash-rich and time poor. And you want to kind of cater to both audiences. So yeah, having them tradable and then having the ability to upgrade them as well is super critical as well. There will be ways that you can buy separate modules for them as well, and buy time limited boosts if you're interested in that as well. But perfectly valid as well, just to, like you said, like have more time, be the 21-year-old and be looking at the meta every day and seeing who's performing best and kind of trying to copy the strategies of the top performers.
Yeah, why copy him if I could just buy it straight from him and get his goat?
Yeah, it's perfect, and it's great for him, right? He spent this time training it, and it's become valuable, and it's generated all this income for him, and he can command a premium for that, and that's also valid. We were discussing this, like, I live in Southeast Asia, I live in Singapore, right? And so you have these guilds that have been employing these scholars for a long time, and I can see a future where scholars are basically managing AI agents. And so it's almost like that abstraction. Each one is their own mini guild. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. And right now, depending on when this episode goes live, there may or may not still be some agents available for purchase. But right now, you guys are live. You guys are in your public round of sale. You guys have a supply of 37,000 agents right now. How do you guys get to that supply? And you guys also have them in Base, Sol, and Taunt Network. How did this decision and this minting supply come to be?
Yeah, I mean, supply was just, we wanted to make sure that there was enough, right? So that if anyone who wanted one could really get one. But you do want to have like a cap on the supply, but so you don't want it to be too kind of readily available. But 37 or 38,000 felt like a good number where we knew that we'd be able to more than satisfy demand. And also, like, we've been working with some communities, so we announced a partnership with Mon Protocol. So others, like big names in the space, have been buying them up as well, which is really nice. Getting active within the ecosystem. And then look, like, the app is on Telegram, right? So I'm sure you guys are aware, but all Telegram apps have to use the Tom blockchain now.
Yep.
And so, look, a lot of our users are on Telegram, so we should make payments available via Tom. It seems kind of silly not to. We've also been building on Base since day one. So I don't know if you guys saw, but B3 just did their token launch yesterday. So this is dating this, right?
Yep.
I think we're one of the very first projects to sign with B3, if not the first.
Nice.
So we've been building with those guys, since like first half of last year. So we've been on Base throughout. And so the plan was always to be on Base and Ton. But, when it comes to AI and retail, like, the liquidity is also on Solana. And so you want to go where the consumers are. I think going forward, like, you should probably expect that everything we do is available on those three chains. Like, we want to basically meet our users where they are, right? And so
I like that.
Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. And I mean, for anyone paying any attention to AI will know that at least Solana and Base are the place where most of that mindshare lives right now. And of course, if you're going to be living on Ton and having all those Telegram games, that also makes sense. You also mentioned a little bit ago when you talked about, if I have 5 of these AlphaGoats, I could merge them. And if I have of those upgraded ones, I can merge those as well. What does merging these agents do for the user? Why is it beneficial? And, what's all that about?
So the base level goats are perfectly fine. If you have 5 of those, you can merge them into what we call advanced level goat, and that unlocks additional modules, basically. So maybe like might unlock, say, live streaming. So things that are just more expensive from a compute perspective, and maybe additional ways to make money. And then if you have 5 of those, you can merge them to create a pro level goat, which that would be equivalent to like 25 base ones. So 5 to make the intermediate, and then 5 of those to. And the pro level ones take place in the elite level live stream tournaments, and like I get access to like the biggest kind of jackpots. But those are the 3 tiers. But the base ones is what I expect 99% of players to be playing with. To be honest, most people won't have like 5 or 6, or maybe a few will, but and
But that'll
25 should
shrink the
only be a
original number
handful.
too, right? Like if there's
Yeah,
37,000, and if I merge 25 of them together, well, now there's 24 less out of the
that's right.
37,000.
It's correct. Yeah, it's entirely by design. So it makes
Cool.
them more kind of valuable over time. It's like deflationary, right? So you incentivize people to merge them, and that helps everyone else in the ecosystem. So maybe they feel a bit kind of less left out.
Deflationary AI agents. It's kind of crazy. What is
Yeah.
the right now? Because Caesar mentioned the mint is live for the second round, I think it is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what's the price right now? So if I want to go mint one right after this episode, what is the price?
I would actually have to check because we're at
Okay.
different phases. Just give me 1 second. It's gonna be like old man uses computer.
All good.
So the current ones on base are 0.138 ETH.
Cool.
I
Nice.
think they're currently cheaper on base. So we announced the price, and then we had the weekend of madness. Like ETH and SALT both went down. So
Yeah.
we're going to get a bit less for these than we thought. But Ethereum went down more than Solana, so the cheapest place to buy right now is on base.
It's discounted if you buy on base, basically.
Yeah, it's basically free.
Is it going to? So say there's 37,000. Say you don't mint all 37,000 out right away. Do they stay available for people to purchase, or are they going away?
No, we'll just leave them available. As the ecosystem launches and we start having prizes and tournaments, there'll be more interest as well, more people coming to the ecosystem. And so I'm in no hurry to close the sale. We'll just leave it open until they're all sold out.
Cool. This is a pretty random question on this. I was just thinking about how earlier you said that long term, like part of your vision would be, hey, our alpha goats can interact with other ecosystems, not just our own ecosystem that we've built inside of Goat Gaming. Do you see a world where we had a Faraway's CEO on the podcast, and they're doing like the Rift platform, where the whole point of that is you take agents from other platforms and then upgrade them with new modules and then keep using them in their native spaces. So like virtuals and whatnot. Is there a world where stuff like that is possible, where you could upgrade your AlphaGoat over there, make it stronger, and then come win tournaments in Goat Gaming?
Yeah, I mean, look, our vision, I'll be very honest with you, as a studio, we haven't really developed a new game since the middle of last year. So all the games on Go, for example, are built by external teams. So we've partnered them up with our internal AI tech, which is how they can ship games so quickly, and we co-build with them. But actually, the core development takes place outside, and so we've bought games in, and we've partnered with other studios, and we've become essentially an infrastructure company. So, and I think that going forward, Go Gaming becomes in a way like an AI infrastructure company, and I can see us building something that looks like Shopify for AI agents, where you come in and you're like, okay, I want an AI agent, bang, and it should do this, this, and this, these modules. I either pay my monthly subscription, or it's a percentage of sales volume if it has some kind of direct to consumer element. And I can see us leaning more and more heavily to that. And gaming is just like the tip of the spear, because gaming is the best way to kind of
to test
figure out
theory.
what works. Yeah, and get adoption.
It's like a proving ground.
Exactly. And gamers it's interesting, right? Because gamers are either incredibly conservative, like the classic PC gamer getting angry at microtransactions, or very forward thinking, kind of Web3 gaming. So it's an interesting place to be testing.
Yeah, makes sense. Go ahead, Caesar.
And the other question that I had here is, one of the things that I saw in the website itself is that each agent can potentially, I don't know if it's by design, will have its own token. And if so, how does it interact with the GG token, and how will that ecosystem of potentially 37,000 AI agent tokens work with Goat Gaming?
Yeah, I mean, that's you're the first person to ask me this. So at some point fairly soon, players will be able to, once they reach certain conditions, tokenize their agent, and then it's really up to the player how their agent interacts with that token. So you don't have to tokenize your agent if you don't want to, and if you do, you could say, hey, I'm gonna start distributing a portion of my winnings back to token holders through buy back and burn or token distributions. It just allows people to have fun with the kind of fractionalization of their agents. And set up additional revenue streams. And
so I could super upgrade my alpha goat, make him the pro of all, and then tokenize it in order to fund me continuing to level him up. And then I get him to dominate in the ecosystem. And then that's split and shared with everyone who essentially grew him together.
Yeah, and that's a great source of revenue potentially for you as the owner, right? As the value of those tokens go up and you hold the original asset and you're deciding how those tokens are allocated. So we think that's a really powerful angle, and I think that is one of the things that will really make a huge difference. But it's not something that we've talked about too much because there's just a lot going on, and people,
Yeah,
they needed one message to lock in on at the beginning. So we hope to be like talking about this a lot more actually over the coming weeks and months.
I think that's really cool. That is something that like has a lot of potential in my mind because I think I approach every one of these conversations and sometimes I say it, sometimes I don't. But really, from my perspective, when I sit down and have a conversation, I started the podcast years ago because I just wanted to figure out, dude, which things should I buy? And can I understand things before I buy them? Like that's all I cared about in the early days. And then I got really obsessed with crypto and I got more into the weeds and I got really into the gaming side and I got more into the weeds there. But my framework is always still like, hey, if I'm listening to this, one person that's going to listen to this just wants to know how to play all the cool games in goat gaming. The other one is fascinated by potential future investments and where do I find these things? And that type of thing really intrigues me for the second part of my brain, the second person in my head of like, ooh, if I want to buy things, I want to buy things before they're a meta. I want to buy things before they're a narrative. And I know AI gaming is a narrative, but what cool things are going to come out of that? And this idea of tokenizing, I mean, it is finite, but it feels endless with 37,000 currently. Tokenizing all of their different capacities is really cool because these agents are going to be used for different things as long as people are like experimenting well. Not every agent is going to do the same things, right? Not every AlphaGoat is going to do the same things. Some of them might be trained to go mess around in, you mentioned prediction markets earlier, go mess around in prediction markets. Some of them might be trained to just play tournaments and games really, really well. Some of them might be trained to be like the jack of all trades for these games. And maybe they just grind the lower part of the leaderboard on 20 different games. And then me as a retail user, I can say, cool, I will buy some tokens on that one so I get exposure to that. I will buy some tokens on that one so I get exposure to that. And it's crazy that instead of just like 3 or 4 years ago, I just invested in cool alts that I was like, ooh, this company's doing something cool. But now it's like I'm buying into AI agents that are doing cool things on their own and then sharing a part of that. Like what a cool spot to be. That's fascinating. I dig that.
No, I love it. I mean, we've always been like kind of very cutting edge as a studio, and I don't think I've been as excited. Like we founded this company in 2016.
Yeah.
Yes, this is year 9.
Wow.
I mean, it's felt like 1,000 human years, but yeah, 9 years at a startup is a long time. But I haven't seen anything that's like as exciting as this since we founded the company.
So you started 2016. I didn't even know that AI existed besides like sci-fi movies in 2016. Was that anywhere in your brain at all?
A little bit. So I actually used to work at Ubisoft in like another era, and we were using machine learning in 2012 for matchmaking. Okay. So there was a game called Ghost Recon Phantoms. It was like a big free-to-play shooter, yep. And I was on that team. And we would, early on in the game's development, we'd like do matchmaking, and then players would score the quality of the matches afterwards. And that was like then using
that was a branch
learning.
Off of Wildlands, right? That was the same era, or was that
yeah? I think we came out pre-Wildlands. Yeah, it was cool. Like Ubisoft's attempt to do a AAA free-to-play game. We got a lot right with it, but I think ultimately, that game was just a bit ahead of its time. I think if it came out now, it would have done very well. But like even then, like there was only really like League of Legends as like a polished free-to-play game that was available in the West, and so like we're just too early. But yeah, we were using machine learning then, and the last kind of real job I had before founding the studio was I worked at King, which is a company that makes Candy Crush, and King actually uses AI for their levels.
Okay.
So like to test levels and level generation and stuff like that. It kind of makes sense, right? To like brute force them. And so we've been like playing with this like use cases for AI for like 9 years. And so like the big investment started in 2022 when we started Mighty Action Heroes, but we've been like messing around. And my co-founder Ben, who's in charge of AI, has been like super future forward, which is incredible, but also a little bit frustrating sometimes because he'll come in and be like, I've seen this tool and like we need to start using this today. And This
Let's
happens like every
restructure
other.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every other week pretty much. So I have to be the one to say, hey, slow down, Turbo. Like,
Yeah.
but no, it's great. Like he's super deep, and because we're in Singapore as well, I think one edge that we have on other teams is that we have people that are Chinese native speaking on the team, and they're super deep into the Chinese AI space. And so
Nice.
we get a lot of the latest tools from China, which are only in Chinese, and I have no idea what the hell's going on. And then we're
But
using
your
like the
team
Western
knows.
tech as well. Yeah, exactly. And our team is using it to build out our pipeline. But yeah.
Nice. Cool. That's bullish.
Yeah.
I have non-AI questions. I have a couple more questions for you
Sure.
specifically. The first was about the GG token. We've only referenced it into that one piece where, like, if I own an AlphaGoat and I choose to launch a token for it, I can tie that into the GG token and be under that umbrella. But what is the GG token actually going to be used for? What is going on there? I know, like, your guys' website says if I mint an AlphaGoat, I get an allocation of the token. What is the
Yeah.
token for?
The GG token is the ecosystem token for goat gaming and everything we do with AI. So, you use it to enter tournaments, you'll use it to upgrade your AlphaGoats, you'll use it to do swaps between the AlphaGoat native token and to GG as well, like in and out. And it's used also by players just to kind of for additional rewards and boosts as well in the ecosystem. So I think we've had 5 million players to date on Telegram. And we've been using like soft currencies, but we're going to be switching a lot of that, or most of it, actually over to GG quite soon as well. So there'll be a lot of demand from there too. I think the other piece, before I forget, is that as we're running infra with other studios, we're going to start charging for the infrastructure we offer and like the AI tooling we use for game development in GG. So either through staking or them like buying individual modules. And so it's
Nice.
also going to serve as an infrastructure token. So yeah, there's a lot planned for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really good use case for the GG token, having your infra be tied to it. For the future games that you talked about right now, you said you have 8, I believe, and there's going to be a lot more pumping out. You guys have the technology and the infrastructure to be launching games within weeks, not years, like a lot of other studios. Will you guys give the AlphaGoats the capability to launch their own games or be able to create games themselves? How would that look like?
Yeah, I'm smiling because like we were literally discussing this today and how it works. So, um, so I don't think they'll. I think, look, given the tech where it's at, like it's come a long way, but it's not quite at the stage where AlphaGo would generate like a sophisticated game for you. But we are thinking of ways to have your AlphaGoats create content and like maybe even monetizable micro experiences in the ecosystem. Say, I could log in and look and say, hey, look. Matthew has a game and Cesar has a game, and there are all these different people that have these different games, and these are the prizes that they're offering, and I'm just going to go and check them out as a player. And so that could be a way that your AI agent is like helping you provide value. Um, this is super alpha. One of the things we're talking about as well is like that players playing against AIs is like super unfair and super brutal.
Yep.
But what if there was a way where we could actually have your alpha go play against humans in a way that wasn't that way? That wasn't brutal, that was opt-in, and that like you could potentially benefit and the players could benefit. So we're sharing more on that soon, but that's something I'm actively working on right now because that then like massively expands the TAM for this, where they can just be in every game. And right now, like you play Waifu Clash and that's great, but for every Waifu Clash session requires 2 people queuing at the same time.
Right.
If you solve this problem with AI agents, you basically little gestures doing balloons there. If you solve this problem with AI agents, then you have infinite player liquidity.
Yeah.
You just
I
have
mean,
to
it's
build
like
it in a
what,
way where players will opt in, right?
especially if you figure out how to make it genuinely interesting. Like Fortnite
Yeah.
did that, right? I mean, you've referenced that you guys have made a bunch of games inside of Fortnite, and
Yeah.
their model. I remember when they said it was probably 3 years ago, when they're like, "Hey, we've internally stopped looking at ourselves as a single game." Like they were ahead of the metaverse curve. We're like, we just want to be every game you ever want to play. You just play it under our umbrella. And their only way that they could actually accomplish that and have like 50 game modes live at the same time is to have AI in basically every game. Their downside is the AI are too easy to play against. It's like I can tell when it's an AI because it'll never beat me ever. And so if you've got really sophisticated AI agents, the problem is on the other side. I can tell when it's an AI because I'll never beat it ever. And so you guys have to find that middle ground. Is that like something that you guys are? Is that the piece that you're experimenting with right now? Like how to how can I
Yeah.
actually beat this sucker?
Well, it's not just that. Like, I actually think if Epic wanted, you would never beat the AI in Fortnite. They deliberately make them
Okay.
bad because to make a AI that destroys a human is actually like trivial. So
Okay.
for us, it's just like, how can we build it in such a way where players opt in? So you should never be matched against an AI without it being against your will. With it being against your will, opt in, and that is meaningful for the player and it's something they want to do. And it's something that benefits the owner of the agent as well, either through like some kind of rev share or something else, right?
Or I mean, the reality is like a good piece of AI is learning from everything it does. And so if it's playing against people all the time, is it learning to get better and better when it's playing against us? So then you're actually benefiting everyone else's AI agent by letting it play against you. That's a cool
That's
concept.
also true. Yeah. So there's we're going to announce soon something that relates to this, and we have a what I will call like a showpiece AI agent that we're going to use as a proof of concept for the whole ecosystem, and it's centered around around like how humans can interact with it and can play with it, and how you can incentivize that. But yeah,
It's
I'm
almost so
super excited for
futuristic.
this.
I feel like I'm in a sci-fi movie right now, man. I'm
It's
training
Skynet.
my enemies right now. I'm making them better so that they could beat me forever.
Getting destroyed by AIs at Wi-Fi Clash. Wi-Fi Clash is actually a good candidate for this, right? Because there's
Okay.
some randomness in it. Like some players complain that
A lot
it's
of it is the card
RNG,
draw. Yeah.
but actually the top players have something like a 65% win rate, 66. So actually a lot of it is like also
I mean,
playing
how can you
probabilistically.
mitigate luck? Yeah, I mean, how can you have to know how to do the best with the lucky and unlucky draw that you get.
And you can play completely the wrong cards and screw it up and get lucky and win as well. Like you could just drop something that wipes out the other player, and like you haven't, from a probabilistic perspective, you made all the wrong moves and you still win. It's a bit like life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that because it kind of gives humans a chance against the AI as well.
Just for anyone who is watching this episode and is excited and is like, okay, maybe I got to get my hands on one of these agents. What is that going to be like right now? If I mint it, if I buy one, when do they go live? When can I start interacting with it? What's the timeline for all these features that we've talked about during this episode? What can people expect for these alpha goats?
Yeah, so I expect players will be able to start playing them in March, which is pretty soon.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the first batch of features will be, I think, fairly light. But one of the things we'll be surfacing very early on is like the proof of concept with like hero agents. So people can already start to interact with it and see where it will go and see what their agents will do, and players will start to also vest their GG tokens in March as well. So, well, this guy's jumping up. He's trying to open the door. I'm sorry. But yeah, so players will be able to start playing with these in a bit, just over a month, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. We're cooking. Man, this has been really cool. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. I get really excited. I said that at the beginning of the episode, that I get really, really excited with all of these cool, new, weird ways to integrate AI into everything we're doing. I joke when I say, "Oh, it feels like a sci-fi movie," but it kind of does, man.
Yeah,
Like
it
these
does,
are the
totally.
things that
Yeah.
I like wondered about when I was 12 years old, and somehow it's all happening right now in front of my face, and it's awesome. This is fascinating. If people want to, maybe they want to buy right now, maybe they just want to play some of the games and see what the heck you guys are all about. Should they go directly to Telegram? Should they go to your Twitter? Where should they go immediately following this episode?
So after this episode, go to AlphaGoats, so AlphaGoats.ai. Check out what we have there, and that's a bit more information about the AlphaGoats themselves. You can follow us on Twitter at PlayGoat Gaming. So PlayGoat Gaming, and then the Telegram bot is Goat Gaming Bot. So
Perfect.
so
I was
very
playing on the Telegram bot this morning. So I will put a
cool.
link down here wherever. I don't think we have our own links or anything. So I will put the exact links that he said right here, wherever you're listening. Go play, go explore. This has been awesome, Simon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking
Yeah.
the time.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time on 100X.